Next on Good Morning El Paso, the STAR test begins today for public school students across El Paso. Has some children getting ready also.
This is not about discrimination. This is about protecting the religious liberty of every Hoosier, of every faith.
Even though the backlash continues across the nation, the governor of Indiana still stands behind his religious freedom law.
And it was a warm weekend, but can we expect a cool down later this week? We have your complete Storm Track weather forecast.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
Very good morning to you, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Floren. Good morning, everyone. We'll get to Crystal Clyde coming up in just a moment. But first, we want to take a live look at traffic right now. I-10 at Piedras was closed overnight due to construction. It was scheduled to open at 6 a.m., but as you can see, it is now open.
And now getting to our top stories. STAR testing begins today for El Paso. Students and administrators across the borderland are using creative ways to get students pumped up for testing.
Got knowledge in my brain.
Over at Riverside Middle School, faculty and staff have recreated Taylor Swift's Shake It Off with a twist. So students, if you feel stressed, just remember to take Taylor Swift's advice and shake it off. Good luck to all the kids taking the test.
Fort Bliss is making some of our nation's wounded warriors feel right at home this week. The second Army trials are happening through Thursday on post. ABC7's Pilar Arias spoke with a few of the athletes.
The competition showcases the spirit of wounded, ill, and injured soldiers and veterans. It will determine who will represent the U.S. Army at the Department of Defense Warrior Games 2015 this June.
A lot of them heard that they would never be able to do things again. They would never be able to, a lot of them, walk. And now for them to come out and challenge themselves the way that they do and push through that challenge, whether that's winning or whether that's just coming out here and pushing their body farther than they thought they could, it's a huge, huge victory to them because a lot of them didn't think they would be able to do something like this ever again.
For the second year, the Army Trials competition is bringing soldiers from all walks of life together. About 80 athletes are here at Fort Bliss competing in Paralympic-type events, including archery, cycling, swimming, shooting, sitting volleyball, track and field, and wheelchair basketball.
Like the fellowship and the camaraderie of all the guys here, and meeting new people, getting to know other guys that have overcome their injuries, more injuries than what I've gotten. So I mean, it's really inspirational.
It's a high that not only do you get from riding and working those endorphins and building yourself up, but cheering your fellow teammate on and pushing them to kind of, beat each other.
Participants include people with spinal cord injuries, traumatic brain injuries, visual impairments, serious illnesses such as cancer, and amputations. Although they say it's nice to beat the clock, earn medals, and place, soldiers enjoy a lot more than the physical aspect.
I have a lot to look forward to with cycling, and these events kind of bring it's a very small community, so you get to kind of get like a little family reunion when you come to these events.
If you haven't caught the games, it's not too late. Spectators are welcome to go out to the Army trials to cheer, root, and motivate the Army warriors as they train and compete for a chance to represent the Army this summer. I have a full schedule of the remaining events on KVIA.com. Pilar Arias, ABC7.
It is 6:04. Here's a live look outside right now. Though you can't exactly see the sky, things are moving along fine. The camera's not bouncing around because of the wind. That's a good sign. Are we in store for another warm one? Crystal's got the latest on that with our first forecast. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. Okay, the answer is yes, still warm, but no, not as warm as this weekend. The reason for that, we have some of those clouds that have spilled in across the area, and throughout today we're actually going to be partly to mostly cloudy outside. 63 is our temperature this morning, though. We are starting off awfully warm for this time of year in those 60s with winds calm. In Las Cruces, we're even warmer, 66 degrees, your winds at 7 miles per hour. We have cooled a bit in the last hour, but still these temperatures nice for this morning's current conditions. And as we move into the afternoon, it's setting us up for the potential to hit the 80s again. We'll talk about how high into the 80s we're going to go, and also about slight rain chances in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Crystal, thank you. And at 6:05, a new Indiana law is sparking a national outcry this morning. Supporters say it protects religious liberty, but others argue it actually protects the right to discriminate against homosexuals. ABC's Susan Salney has the details.
After a weekend of protests and heated debate, this morning the firestorm over Indiana's new religious freedom law rages on, with critics saying it allows businesses to discriminate against gays and lesbians. The man who signed the measure into law on Thursday, Indiana Governor Mike Pence, defended it and his state against what he called shameless rhetoric in an exclusive interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos.
This is not about discrimination. This is about protecting the religious liberty of every Hoosier, of every faith.
The law would allow businesses to refuse service to customers based on personal religious conviction regarding such issues as sexual orientation. Governor Pence would not answer directly when asked repeatedly if under the law it would be legal for a shop owner to refuse to serve gay customers.
Do you think it should be legal in the state of Indiana to discriminate against gays or lesbians?
George,
it's a yes or no question.
Come on, Hoosiers don't believe in discrimination.
Some businesses are welcoming the religious freedom law.
As a business person, as an American, I should have the opportunity to say, this makes me uncomfortable and I wish not to do.
But other businesses object and want customers to know it.
We serve all races, creed, colors, sexual preference, religious preference. That's just what we do. We do it before, we'll do it again.
The backlash is growing. Seattle's mayor has prohibited city employees from traveling to Indiana on city funds. Susan Salney, ABC News, Washington.
Sanctuary cities remain a controversial topic this morning in Texas. Should local police officers and sheriff's deputies enforce immigration law? Well, that was the topic of last night's ABC 7 Extra, and we have Good Morning El Paso's Denise Olivas with a recap right now. Good morning.
Good morning, Hillary. A Texas senator introduced a bill that would ban sanctuary cities like El Paso. He wants all law enforcement to be required to ask a person's immigration status. Similar legislation was introduced back in 2011 and failed, but many Texas GOP leaders were recently elected on promises to get tougher on immigration. In sanctuary cities, agencies like the Sheriff's Office and the Police Department are not allowed to ask a person's immigration status. In our studio last night, we had both sides of the debate, conservative activist Barbara Carrasco and Robert Heyman with the Border Network for Human Rights. Our guest responded when asked if banning sanctuary cities would increase unreported crime.
They come and they set themselves up to be exploited. And that's why it's so important that they obey the law, because they will have protections under law. They won't have fears calling the police to come in and help them out.
This is absolutely going to make crime go unreported. It's going to undermine trust between the community and the police. It's going to undermine the community policing model that has served El Paso and other cities around the state and country so well.
Heyman says that 54 of the 55 largest law enforcement agencies in Texas have similar law where officers are not allowed to ask a person's immigration status, and he says that that's what will keep the city safe. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Denise, for that live report.
Pop star Ariana Grande is coming to El Paso in just a few hours. Pre-sale tickets will be available. We'll tell you where you can get your hands on those.
Also, Fast and the Furious 7 is heading for theaters this Friday. But how did filmmakers deal with the death of their lead actor halfway through the filming? We'll take a look at that. It's pretty impressive.
And it was a warm weekend, but what can we expect? Can we expect the same for this work week? Meteorologist Crystal Cly has the answers.
Well, temperatures still look good, but we do have a few changes on the board. We'll talk about those with your future track model after the break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.